Ibrahim Traoré almost walked past the man before he realized who it was. The afternoon sun burned hot over Ouagadougou, and he had just wrapped up a surprise visit to a local school. His convoy was waiting by the curb, engines idling, when something by the roadside caught his attention. Leaning against a cracked, dusty wall sat a man with a tin cup at his feet. His clothes were torn, stained, and his hair was streaked with rough patches of grey. His eyes, hollow and heavy with years of suffering, barely moved as people passed him without a glance, like he was part of the street itself. Ibrahim frowned. Something about him was familiar. "Wait here," he told his security detail. His tone left no room for argument. The man slowly looked up, squinting against the sunlight. His lips trembled, then parted. "Ibrahim." His voice cracked. Ibrahim's chest tightened. "Musa." He stepped closer, searching that gaunt, worn face. Yes, it was him. Once so full of life, now just a shadow of the man he knew. Musa tried to stand, but his knees shook. "It's really you," he whispered. "It's me," Ibrahim said, placing a firm hand on his shoulder. "What happened to you?" Tears welled in Musa's eyes, but he quickly brushed them away. "It's a long story, and not one I ever thought I'd tell you. Not like this. Come with me, we'll talk." Musa hesitated, glancing at his bare feet. "I can't. Not like this. I'm not fit to sit in your car." "You're my friend," Ibrahim said firmly. "That's all that matters." Minutes later, Musa was at the presidential residence. He bathed, dressed in clean clothes, and sat at a table where steaming dishes were served. He ate slowly, carefully, as if he feared the food might vanish. Between bites, his eyes shifted between gratitude and shame. When the plates were cleared, Ibrahim poured 2 glasses of juice and sat across from him. "Now," he said gently, "tell me. You were one of the brightest men I knew. What happened?" Musa's gaze sank to his glass. He let out a heavy sigh. "It started 3 years ago." He spoke of his life in Ouagadougou, where he had been a respected school principal, how he saved money, built a small house, and married Stella. "At first, we were happy, or so I thought, but she changed. She was always on her phone, snapping at me over nothing. I told myself it was stress. I ignored the signs." His voice broke. "One afternoon, I came home early and found her in our bed with another man." Ibrahim's jaw tightened. "What did you do?" "I walked out," Musa whispered. "I couldn't fight. I was shaking, and she didn't even apologize. She followed me outside and said it was over, that I had to leave my own house because he was the one she loved." Ibrahim's eyes darkened. "Leave the house you built with your own hands?" "Yes." Musa's voice was bitter. "I refused. But she took me to court, claimed she paid for everything. She even brought forged documents. The judge believed her. I was thrown out." "What about your job?" Ibrahim asked quietly. "I lost that too. Every coin I had went to lawyers. Soon I had nothing, no home, no work, no dignity. I stayed with a friend for a while, but shame ate me alive. I left, ended up under bridges, begging for scraps. Some days I only ate once, and every time I closed my eyes, I saw her laughing with him. His head lowered, tears slipping down his cheeks. I became a shadow. I wanted to die, Ibrahim. I truly wanted to die." The president rose from his chair, his voice steady but warm. "Musa, you didn't deserve any of this, but I promise you, your story will not end here." Musa slowly lifted his eyes. "You still call me your friend, even after seeing me like this?" Ibrahim's gaze softened. "Musa, I never stopped." That night, for the first time in years, Musa slept peacefully. Ibrahim sat in his office, papers scattered across the desk, but untouched. His thoughts weren't on state matters. They were on Musa, the friend who had once stood by him in school. The boy who had shared his books, shielded him from bullies, and urged him to dream bigger. Ibrahim tightened his grip on the pen in his hand, a quiet resolve forming in his chest. I'll give him a fresh start. The next morning, Musa woke to the smell of warm bread and fried eggs. The soft bed beneath him, the clean sheets, and the neatly folded clothes nearby felt unreal compared to the cold pavement where he had slept. The day before, a gentle knock sounded at the door. "Come in," he called. A staff member stepped in with a tray. "Good morning, sir. The president asked me to serve you." Musa sat up slowly, still stunned. "Thank you. Truly." As the same thought circled in his mind. Yesterday I was a beggar. Today I'm a guest in the presidential residence. What will tomorrow bring? Later in the garden, Ibrahim walked toward him dressed simply, his presence calm yet commanding. "Musa, your story broke my heart," he said. "I didn't mean to bring trouble into your home," Musa murmured. "You didn't bring trouble," Ibrahim replied. "You brought truth, and truth should lead to action." "Action?" Musa asked, uncertain. "I've made arrangements," Ibrahim told him. "This morning you'll see a doctor. After that, there's somewhere I want to take you." By the afternoon, Musa had been examined by a doctor, given medicine, and received his first haircut in years. The man staring back at him in the mirror no longer looked like the broken figure from the roadside. His eyes carried a faint spark again. Ibrahim drove him to the edge of the city, stopping in front of a small cream and brown house with a neat garden. "It's beautiful," Musa whispered. "Whose is it?" "It's yours," Ibrahim said with a smile. Musa's voice faltered. "Ibrahim, this is too much." "It's fully paid. No one can take it from you," Ibrahim assured him. Musa lowered his head. "Why would you do this?" "For me?" he whispered. "Because I remember who you are," Ibrahim said, his eyes glistening. "You gave me books when I had none. You defended me when I was alone. You believed in me before I believed in myself." Musa shook his head, overcome. "I only did what friends do. And now," Ibrahim said, resting a firm hand on his shoulder, "I'm doing the same." Inside, the house was warm and welcoming, a cozy living room, a clean kitchen, a bright bedroom, and even a small office with a desk and bookshelf. "I've also opened a bookshop and school supply store for you," Ibrahim added. "It's next to a secondary school. You'll run it, and I'll cover the first year's expenses. I know your love for education. Let's put it to use." Musa's hands trembled. For the first time in years, his tears weren't from pain, but from hope. Over the next few weeks, his life transformed. He ran the store with discipline and care. Students came daily for pens, notebooks, and textbooks. Some stayed to ask questions about their studies. Musa never turned them away. "You can't just memorize," he told one boy, pointing at a math problem. "Understand the steps, and the answer will follow." Word spread quickly. People in the community began greeting him again, not as a beggar, but as Mr. Musa, a man who had risen from the ground up. One Saturday afternoon, while arranging books, he heard a soft voice behind him. "Musa." He turned, the book nearly slipping from his hand. Standing at the door was Stella, his ex-wife. Her face was pale, her clothes plain and worn, her jewelry gone. Beside her sat a small suitcase. "Can we talk?" she asked quietly. "Outside." "The shop," Musa said, folding his arms. "What do you want, Stella?" Tears filled her eyes. "I have nowhere to go. He left me. The man I chose over you sold our house, emptied my account, and ran off with another woman. I lost everything." Musa took a deep breath. "I'm sorry for what happened," she whispered. "And I'm asking if I can stay. Just for a while." He looked at her for a long, silent moment. This was the same woman who had once walked away without even looking back. "Stella," Musa said calmly, "I forgave you long ago, but I've moved on. My life is peaceful now. You chose your path, and I've chosen mine." Her head dropped in shame. "Please, even just a room." "I wish you well," Musa replied, his voice steady, "but this is not your home." Without another word, he turned and walked back into the shop, his heart pounding. That night, Musa called Ibrahim. "She came back," he said simply. "And what did you tell her?" Ibrahim asked. "I told her no." On the other end, Ibrahim's smile could be heard in his voice. "I'm proud of you. You didn't just give me a house and a business," Musa said. "You gave me back my dignity." Life soon settled into a quiet rhythm. The shop was doing well. Musa greeted students and teachers warmly each day, becoming more than just a shopkeeper. He was a helper, a listener, almost a father figure to many. One Friday morning, as he arranged, pens on the counter, the bell above the door rang. A woman in a simple blue dress walked in, her smile warm and her eyes bright. "Good morning," she said. "Do you have senior school math textbooks?" "Yes," Musa replied. "Come with me." She followed him to the shelf, picked out what she needed, and returned to the counter. "I've seen you before," she said as he packed her books. "You help children who can't afford supplies. They remind me of who I used to be." Musa smiled. She extended her hand. "I'm Grace. I teach at the secondary school nearby." He shook her hand. "Musa, I own the shop." Her eyebrows lifted. "That's wonderful. This place feels so welcoming. We need more people like you." Musa felt his heart quicken. It had been a long time since he'd spoken to a woman like this. "Thank you," he said softly. "You're kind." Weeks passed, and Grace became a familiar part of Musa's days. Sometimes she came for teaching supplies, other times just to greet him. Their conversations grew warmer, often spilling into shared lunches she brought from home. Musa would walk her back to the school, and they'd trade stories, some heavy with sorrow, others full of quiet laughter. Grace, too, had known loss. A widow raising her daughter alone, she understood grief and the slow work of healing. One evening they sat outside the shop as the sky burned gold. "You're a strong man," Grace said. Musa shook his head. "I don't feel strong, just grateful. I'm still here." "No," she said firmly. "You went through the fire and chose kindness. That's strength." Musa's eyes softened. "I never thought I'd meet someone like you." Grace looked down, smiling faintly. "And I never thought I'd smile like this again." That night Musa called Ibrahim. "I think I've met someone," he said. Ibrahim chuckled. "Musa, the lover boy." "Not like that," Musa laughed. "She's different, calm, wise, full of light." "Then don't let that light go," Ibrahim said warmly. "You deserve joy." Musa took his time. Soon Grace's daughter Rachel began visiting the shop, helping him arrange books and sitting in the reading corner Musa had built just for her. He treated her like his own child, teaching, encouraging, listening. One sunny afternoon, Musa invited Grace and Rachel to a quiet garden. Kneeling with a small ring in his hand, he said, "I don't have much to give, but I have peace, respect, and love. Will you marry me?" Tears welled in Grace's eyes. "Yes, Musa, 1,000 times yes." Rachel squealed with joy and hugged them both. Their wedding was small but filled with happiness. Friends, neighbors, and even President Ibrahim Traoré attended. After the ceremony, Ibrahim pulled Musa aside. "You look like a man who's found peace." "I have," Musa replied. Ibrahim placed a hand on his shoulder. "You found it because you never gave up." Months later, Musa's life was full. A loving wife, a daughter who adored him, a thriving business, and a home alive with laughter. He launched a foundation to help men who had lost everything, opening a shelter that offered training and small business skills. "I was once on that street," Musa told the first group of men. "One friend changed my story. Now I want to change yours." Across town, Stella sat alone in a rented room. She had called Musa many times, but he never answered. Once she went to his shop, only to see a sign, "Closed this week for family reasons. See you next week." In the window was a photo, Musa and Grace holding hands, Rachel smiling between them. Stella's vision blurred. She had once held everything, and she had thrown it away. Now Musa had what she had never valued. Slowly, she turned from the shop and walked down the dusty road, this time with nothing to her name. That evening, Musa sat on the porch with Grace, a warm cup of tea in his hands. The night air was still, and stars were scattered like diamonds across the dark sky. "Do you think your ex-wife regrets it now?" Grace asked softly. Musa looked up at the stars before answering. "Maybe, but that's not my concern anymore." Grace reached for his hand. "Let's keep writing new chapters," she whispered. He smiled, squeezing her fingers. "Beautiful ones." Musa's life was no longer just a personal victory. It had become a living testimony. From sleeping on the streets to becoming a respected businessman, a loving husband and a father, his story gave hope to many. The Musa Foundation had already helped more than 50 men rebuild their lives. Some became mechanics, others opened small shops, barber stalls or food stands. Different paths, but all carried the same truth. They believed again, because Musa had believed in them first. One afternoon, President Ibrahim Traoré called him. "I want you to speak at the National Youth Conference," he said. "Your story needs to be heard." When Musa's name was announced, he walked to the stage in a neat grey suit, his head held high. The applause was warm, respectful. He adjusted. "The microphone." "I was a man who lost everything," he began, "not because I was lazy or foolish, but because I trusted the wrong person." He paused, scanning the audience. "My wife and her lover took everything from me. I was thrown out, mocked, left with nothing but shame. But one hot afternoon, as I sat hungry on the street, a man I once helped found me." Musa glanced at Ibrahim. "In the front row, that man didn't pity me or pass me by. He lifted me up and reminded me that broken things can still be made beautiful again." The hall was silent. Then Musa smiled. "Today I hold no anger. The best revenge is peace, joy, and moving forward. No matter how bad it gets, your story can change if you don't give up." The crowd rose in applause. That night, back in the garden, Rachel played with their puppy, while Musa and Grace sat side by side. "Do you still think about her?" Grace asked. "Not with anger," Musa said quietly. "I just wonder how someone can throw away gold and pick up sand." Grace laughed softly. "She lost a good man," Musa added with a smile, "and I gained a queen." Far away, Stella worked. In a small restaurant. The man she left Musa for had drained her money and left her in debt. The house she once took was gone. She had even tried to end her life once, but survived. Sometimes, late at night, she scrolled through Musa's photos online. The interviews, the smiling family, the joy, each one cut deep. The man she thought would be nothing without her had become far more than she could ever imagine without her. A year later, Musa was invited to the presidential palace for dinner. In the garden, Ibrahim handed him a small box. "What's this?" Musa asked. "An award," Ibrahim said with a smile, "for your work with the Musa Foundation." Inside was a golden medal. Musa hugged his friend tightly. "You didn't just change my life," he said. "You gave me the chance to change others too." "That's the power," Ibrahim replied, of one hand lifted in kindness. As the evening breeze moved through the garden, Musa looked up at the sky. "Who would have thought," he whispered, "that the man with nothing would one day have more than he ever dreamed?" His eyes shone, not with pain, but with joy. The past was gone. The future was bright. And this time no one could take it away. No matter how far a person falls, one act of kindness can be the first step back to hope. The choice to rise is always yours.